las seis, todas las zonas van a pasar por allí, algunas al revés.
Out onto the arena floor then for the grand final. It's Toni Bo versus Adam Raga. Bo will be the first man out through the sections after a 12-mark score in Heat 1. Raga with the advantageous second starting position following a 9-mark score in Heat number 2. Raga has had the upper hand so far here tonight, but he had the upper hand in the opening 2 rounds in Barcelona as well, and that ended up meaning very little because Raga put in his best performances of the night in the final and stole it away from Raga. How about the final here in Bilbao? We're about to find out. First of 6 sections coming up next. Several areas of these sections are familiar to the riders from earlier rounds. It will be to yourselves as well, of course. But what won't be familiar is the outbound direction of section number 1. Now, the riders are required to do it in both directions here, but this outbound direction is brand new. Then, of course, the return direction we saw in round number 1. Right at the start of the night, it was section 1. Toni Bo, then, section number 1, to set the benchmark that Adam Raga must follow shortly after. These two men, the finalists in each of the rounds of this 2020 campaign so far, each of the first 4 rounds of this season. It's been Bo who's finished on top by gradually reducing margins, it must be said. It was tight in Budapest, it was tight in Barcelona, both going down to the final section. In the case of Budapest, it went down to a tiebreak as well. Toni Bo then, outbound direction almost complete. Nice work out of the exit gate in one direction. Nice turn. He's got more than half of the time in a direction that he's already once completed earlier on this evening. Toni Bo clean so far. 20 seconds still to go. It's going to be fairly tight, but it is a free run to the exit of the section. At this stage of the competition, you'll have seen it was a different line to what we saw earlier on tonight. In the first round, the riders were required to take a prescribed route through the course. In the grand final, it's an open route, and Toni Bo takes the short way out of section number 1. So he's clean, and Adam Raga must now follow that, try to match it with another clean. Section 1 for Adam Raga then. Well on his way towards recording the silver medal in 2020. He will be adding to his lead over Gironi Fajardo. The gap between the two of them was 35 championship points coming into this evening's action, a quite significant margin. And it will grow. By exactly how much remains to be seen here, of course, in the grand final. 5 points more available for victory in second place, and Raga needs the win in the context of the championship if he's to have any hopes of taking on Toni Bo over the final 2 rounds. Victory for Raga tonight might make it just a little bit more difficult for Bo to sew up the World Championship in Vienna Neustadt next time out, and before his home round in Andorra.
20 segundos.
Raga in a similar position at this stage in terms of time to Toni Bo before him. Section number 1 proves easy enough for Adam Raga as well. Clean in section 1. That just heaps the pressure on both riders, as effectively we now go down to a 5-section grand final. Section 2 next up. This one we've already seen was section 2 back in round number 1. Both riders dropped a single mark earlier on in the night. We saw the riders making it through this step in the consolation final as well. Toni Bo then, within touching distance of that 14th world title, leads the championship by 20 points. He hasn't been beaten for the last year. His winning streak stretching back to the last X-Trial Bilbao in 2019. Looking for what would be a 6th unbeaten season of his career if he can manage to keep up his winning run this campaign. First step, managed successfully. This is the one that's a risk as far as dropping a mark for leaning is concerned. Now, can Bo manage it with a clean that would force Raga to do exactly the same to match him. Highest point of this section. Up goes Bo. He's done it! Toni Bo is clean! Toni Bo, brilliant in section 2. Raga must follow that. You can't top it, but Raga now needs to match it. And we've seen plenty of riders dropping a single mark for leaning on that step. Toni Bo is clean. First 2 sections, and clean for Bo. The winner here last season of the first edition of X-Trial Bilbao. It was a tight affair last year as well. Only 2 marks deciding it in the end. Adam Raga then for section number 2. That crucial step halfway through this section is the opportunity for Toni Bo to go in front if Raga makes the slightest of errors. Not much to choose between them over the last 2 rounds, Raga and Bo. When will Raga get the just desserts for his brilliant efforts in Budapest, in Barcelona, here in Bilbao, where he's won the first 2 rounds? What about the grand final? Big step this one, big moments in the grand final as well. Raga looking for a clean to match Bo, who's gone before him. Up he goes, he can't manage it. It's a single drop mark for leaning. And Toni Bo takes the lead in section 2. It is just a single mark for Adam Raga, but that could prove critical as Toni Bo leads us here in the Bithgaya Arena. And Adam Raga, who was runner-up here last season, who's been runner-up in 6 of the last 7 of his appearances in the X-Trial World Championship, trails in 2nd position once again in the grand final of X-Trial Bilbao in 2020. Each of the last 2 X-Trials have gone to the last section of the grand final, and at the moment there's only 1 mark between them. We see the trophies and we see Toni Bo. Which one of those 2 on the left-hand side of your picture will Toni Bo be lifting here tonight? 1st or 2nd place? Toni Bo now then, section number 3, this familiar. The outbound direction is section 2 from round 2, which Toni Bo got through with 3 marks, Adam Raga got through with 1. And then, just as a little bit of extra spice, we've got the first step of section 3 from round 1 mixed into it. Toni Bo just asking for clarification on that. I'm sure he's getting exactly the same instructions from FIM representative David Rogers as he is from, as you are from us up here in the commentary position. Round 2 direction first. Part of the round 1 direction, you can actually see the exit marked on the floor there, just after the 3rd block in, from the left as we're facing it. Oh, on the back wheel, so far so good. Nice turn, which he does before landing, rather than landing and then making the turn. Makes the turn mid-air. Big step this one. This is a risk as far as dropping marks for leaning. Full return direction. Bo has to take a mark for leaning. It'd be tough for Raga to avoid taking a mark there, but if possible. Bo teetering backwards for a moment. In the end, he's elegant on the back wheel. Beautiful from Toni Bo. First 3 modules of the round 1 direction. Then out through the exit gate. 20 seconds to go. Oh, he's got it wrong on the cylinder. Oh dear. 3 marks now, because that was 1 for leaning, 1 for footing. So Bo is on 3. Any further drop marks, and Toni Bo has failed this section 3, and how the mighty will have fallen. Oh, beautiful from Bo to make that leap, sheer upper body strength to haul the bike up. And Bo manages to clear it, that final step that I thought might snag him for another mark, and that would have put him out of the section with a failure. Instead, he's played his get-out-of-jail-free card there, has Toni Bo. 3 mark score in section number 3. Raga does have an opportunity to better that, it must be said. What can he do on that cylinder when he gets to it? Section number 3. 3 marks the score to beat in this one, but Raga, of course, has got a mark to make up. If he can score 2 in this one, we're all square at the halfway mark in the grand final. Adam Raga getting underway with section number 3. Makes the turn nicely as well. Big step this one. Big moment in the context of this grand final. Single mark dropped here by Toni Bo. Raga follows him. Up he goes. He too drops a mark for leaning. More than half the time to go, though. Bo bounced on the back wheel on the descent here. Raga does the same. Tricky to remain in the section. Great balance being shown by Adam Raga. First direction complete on the same score as Toni Bo. Less than 20 seconds to go for the return direction. First step, Bo out. Raga with precision. Great work from Adam Raga. Now the big step, and time ticking away as well. Listen out for the klaxon. If that sounds, Adam Raga's failed this section. 3 seconds to go. He's not going to make it. Adam Raga fails section number 3. What a shame. What a shame that is for Adam Raga. Wait for official confirmation, but it certainly looked like and sounded like a 5-mark score for Adam Raga in section 3. He was so close to the exit gate. Well, he made the exit gate, but after the time had elapsed. And Toni Bo made mistakes in that section 3 that Adam Raga didn't. But he got through in the 1-minute time allowance, and that now gives him a 3-mark lead with 3 sections remaining. Raga could have tied it there because he only actually dropped 2 marks in the section. The other 3 thrown away by failing to make it in terms of time. Raga is riding really well, but somehow Toni Bo is stretching his lead. Still only 1 section away from losing it all, of course. 3 marks. Very little in it here. Toni Bo barking on section 4. The outbound direction is brand new for this grand final. Difficult to know exactly what to expect here. Toni Bo, who has been struggling with injury worries over the last couple of seasons. Injuries, contributing to what have been admittedly rare defeats. Toni Bo, not in peak form either. Suffered an injury before Extra Barcelona. Big step of section 4, this one. Saw even Bo struggle with it in round number 2. He did get through it, though. Up he goes this time around. He's done it. Toni Bo with some great work on the back wheel. 2 major steps to go. We've seen this area of the section plenty during the night. Bo has seen it plenty as well. No great difficulties for him. 17 seconds on the clock. Surely he's going to make it. Will it be with a mark? No, it won't. Beautiful from Toni Bo in section number 4. He's doing all he can do to make Adam Raga's life as difficult as possible. Toni Bo, who recently announced that he'll be sitting out the Spanish Championship for the first time and really focusing on retaining his world titles after losing a little bit of ground compared to Adam Raga over the last couple of rounds in the Extra World Championship, it must be said. Has come out of the box fighting tonight in this grand final, having been beaten in rounds 1 and 2 by Adam Raga. Bo perhaps just wanting to manage his competition a little bit more at this stage of his career. No doubt about it. Drawing from the Spanish Championship is the sign that those physical woes are starting to catch up with him. Already showing incredible longevity at the top of the sport, and Adam Raga likewise, it should be added, 37 years of age, 88 times before tonight he'd made it into the top 2, so this is 89 now appearances in the top 2 for Adam Raga. Big step this one. Raga drops a mark for leaning, and again just the odd one here and there, but it's enough for Toni Bo to extend his lead. 3 cleans out of 4 for Toni Bo. Raga nicely done there. Waiting to see what he can do on this final step now of section number 4. 1 mark already to his name. Up he goes, he's done that one well. Now Toni Bo leads it by 4 with 2 sections to go. That failure in section 3 costly so far for Adam Raga. Sections 5 and 6 still to come then. Gap 4 marks. Toni Bo leads it on 3. Adam Raga second place on 7. Really, Raga needing victory here tonight with 20 points to make up in the context of the championship. A victory this evening would narrow the gap down to 15 with 2 rounds still to go. defeat this evening, the gap would be up to 25 with 2 rounds to go, and Bo would have a very realistic chance of sealing the title in Vienna Neustadt, even with a second place. In the case of a tie on championship points at the end of this season, we go down to who's won the most rounds, and Bo is certainly going to achieve that because he's won more than half of the 7 rounds already with victories in the opening 4. Round number 5 this one tonight in Bilbao, round 6 in Vienna Neustadt, and round 7 in Andorra still to come. Penultimate section of the final. Toni Bo leads it by 4. Big step at the start of it. Bo gets himself into a tricky spot there, and down he goes, and backwards out of the section, down to a 5. Great sportsmanship being shown by Adam Raga to help Toni Bo up to his feet. Adam Raga now leads the X-Trial, but can he capitalise on that advantage in this section 5? A familiar step. We saw the riders tackle it in round number 2. It was section 4 in round 2. Toni Bo was the only rider to make it. He's not made it in the grand final. Is that a chink in the armour? Is that the opportunity that Adam Raga needs to get on terms with Toni Bo? Couldn't be much closer. 1 mark between the two of them. Raga on 7. Section number 5. Opening step then, it's make or break for Adam Raga. A failure here would make life a lot easier for Toni Bo in the final section. A brand new one, section 6. Watching on as Adam Raga asks for quiet from the crowd. Section number 5, critical moment. Oh, he's almost up, but down he goes. 5-mark score in section number 5. Moves on to 12. The gap is 4. Toni Bo then has the X-Trial in his hands. If he gets through section number 6, Toni Bo wins X-Trial Bilbao. Raga just protesting to the referee. David Rogers on the scene. Raga now gives him some space as we move on with section number 6. Toni Bo, one hand on victory here in Bilbao. He was the winner here last season. By only 2 marks, he leads it by 4 marks here this evening. And with that in mind, if he gets through this section 6, he wins X-Trial Bilbao. The odds are stacked in his favour. New section. It's grand final. 1 minute, 1 section, and potentially less than a minute away from victory tonight. Toni Bo. Shorter sections of the evening as well, so time shouldn't be too much of an issue. Bo descends. Just a few blocks to go. A-frame to make it up delicately on the other side of this. They're all angled away from one another just to make it a little bit more tricky with mid-air movements. The crowd are all filming this. They know that this could be the moment that Bo seals victory. A mark drop for leading. He can afford that. Final step. Toni Bo wins X-Trial Bilbao in 2020. Super riding from Toni Bo in the final. He's delighted with that. And he will have an opportunity to seal the world title in Vienna Neustadt next time out. 2 rounds still remaining this season. Toni Bo leads the World Championship by a 25-point margin. Beaten in round 1, beaten in round 2, dominant in the final. Single drop mark for Toni Bo there, moves him on to 9. He can't be caught. Raga's on 12. 1 section still to ride as well. This one just for the record books. 2 failures for Raga, only 1 failure for Bo in this grand final. That's made the difference between them. Section number 6 looks accessible. Bo just dropping that single mark. I think that was a safety dab, as it were. Mark drop for leading Adam Raga. And he end with a clean, end on a high note in this grand final. About to find out. that a mark for leaning? It is. So Adam Raga just snagging one as he makes his way over that first crest. This is the second crest. This is where Bo dropped a mark. And Raga manages to get through there clean, but he's already dropped one. A single drop mark in section number 6 for Adam Raga. Great performance tonight. You've got a feel for him. Brilliant in round 1, brilliant in round 2. Loses out by 4 marks in the final. Great sportsmanship between the pair of them once again, shaking hands. There's great respect between them as well. Caught up with them for a feature for Extra TV last time out in Extra Barcelona, and they really only have great things to say about one another. And we saw that sportsmanship again when Toni Bo went down and Adam Raga was the first man on the scene to help him out. Toni Bo making his way all the way around the arena as they complete a Mexican wave, and Bo follows the path of the Mexican wave around the outside of the arena floor. He's having trouble keeping up with it, but he's doing all of the acrobatics on one wheel. And why shouldn't he? Toni Bo is your winner here tonight. Extra Bilbao is the 5th venue to fall to the king. The master of Extras, Toni Bo, wins Extra Bilbao in 2020. Back-to-back victories for this season so far.